Hey guys, Matt McQueenie of the Mix Minus podcast here. Coming at you on a Saturday, afternoon now, almost 2 p.m. in early to mid-May, and day before Mother's Day. Big news in media happened actually on Friday, which was yesterday. It was announced pretty well in advance that Bill Simmons would not be returning to ESPN or returning to his role as editor-in-chief and founder of Grantland.com, the great website, long-form journalism on pop culture, sports especially, and the intersection of the two. And it's a great destination site. Multimedia, video, audio podcasts, and they've done a great job with podcasts in breaking down every show. They have a stable of 10 to 15 shows, I'm thinking, and maybe more. And they've even broken it down to the point where their TV folks, the Hollywood Prospectus podcast with Chris Ryan and Andy Greenwald, have even gone to having a Watch the Thrones, Game of Thrones podcast. So they're getting very smart about how they break it down. Bill Simmons himself has always had the BS Report and very recently started a dedicated NBA show called Bill Don't Lie. So playing with the whole BS, in the name, all that. But very shocking news because his contract, which I believe is around $3 to $4 million a year, takes him through the end of September. And it appears that ESPN has really thrown down the gauntlet very early. I don't think this is a negotiating tactic. I think this is it. They, for the most part, I think it's John Skipper, his name is, said, we'll be moving on. And he said Grantland will continue as it is, and they'll get a new person to run it and be the editor-in-chief. I don't know how that thing will run without Bill Simmons because it really is a whole website and ecosystem revolving around everything that's going in his mind. And he is the marquee. He is the main person that people try to pay attention to on that site. You do enjoy all the other people on the site, and they are very good at what they do. But having that planet through which this whole constellation runs around is the biggest key. Knowing that his articles are going to come out because it is the focus is a big part of going to the site. Knowing when his podcasts come out are a big part. Tens of millions, I think 30, 40, 50 million downloads in a year happen on his podcast. And he really found the niche there. He's one of the main people in the space who's doing it very well. Now it appears from ESPN's point of view he's not monetizing it very well, but I would say that that's their fault. He's not the salesman. He just creates the great content. But the problem with Grantland and the problem for Bill Simmons is that he's getting paid a lot of money, and I think he wants somewhere in the vicinity of $6 million. I heard it said, maybe it was in the New York Times article or somewhere else. New York Times broke this story. It was given to Richard Sandomir, who's a very well-known media critic and media follower. And so he broke that they would be parting ways. But someone said that Bill's value on the open market is probably $7 to $10 million, actually. So the big key is where he will go next. It's really a shock that this is going to take place and that this is more than a negotiating tactic. I mean, I guess you could always pull back. He could always humbly come back to the fold because ESPN is a great place for him. Now, I know he goes up against their kind of editorial rules, and he goes up against and makes a hard time for all the deals they have with the NFL, especially with all the things he has said about Roger Goodell. Back in September, October, he was suspended for 3 weeks, and that really kind of cleaved the break in this relationship to a very high level. The most recent thing the other day, he was on Dan Patrick's show, and he said that Roger Goodell did not have the testicular fortitude, I think was the word, to maybe it had to do with the deflate gate or something like that, but that was sort of the end of the line, the last straw for ESPN, because they seemed to come right out the day after that. Now, who knows if that was it or if they were waiting for him to do something or if they were waiting for his frustration to come out. But it really is a sad day because they are great for each other. If they could have just found a way to work with one another. It reminds me a lot of Howard Stern when he was on terrestrial radio, and that he would come up against the line and then people in charge would get very angry, and ultimately he left and went to Sirius and took Sirius off to the levels it is now. I think it has around 30 million subscribers, up from somewhere around 5 to 700,000 subscribers when he went there 10 years ago. He's coming up on his 10 years next year. His contract will be coming in to an end, and many will wonder where he goes as he is in his early 60s, and he could obviously end or continue going. But Bill Simmons is still a pretty young man in the media game. He's 45. He did say in a Recode interview a couple of months ago that he had 5 good years left. That was interesting to me because I don't know what he really means by that. You know, I guess at the level he's doing it, at the amounts of coffee he has to drink to keep this going, the stress level probably to do it the way he needs to do it or thinks he needs to do it. But I think if he's writing, if he's doing podcasts, if he's doing video, that's a key. So let's talk about where he could end up. Many say, as they read the tea leaves, that Bill has said he would go where the NBA is, and that if the ESPN ever lost their NBA deal, he would leave ESPN. A little weird, I don't know about that. But where can he do all the things he's done at ESPN? I don't think he could do it all somewhere else. He can't executive produce documentaries, have a podcast, have a video presence and a television show that actually was appearing on ESPN and ABC of all places because of the network effect there of them all owning one another. And so I don't think he can get everything he was getting from ESPN, but many talk about Turner Sports, that he could go there. They have a deal with the NBA. Can't quite imagine him on with Ernie, Shaq, and Kenny and Charles. I don't know. It seems a little weird, almost like someone from another television show walking into, like a normal drama television show or comedy, walking in from their world into the other. Weird crossover. I don't really know if that's the place. And then people say, I didn't even realize Bleacher Report was owned by Turner. So they're saying they could give him kind of a nook of the Bleacher Report empire so he could have his writing, because that is a key. He needs to be able to do everything he does. That's his whole package. His utility is in the fact that he writes long form, he does audio long form, he does video long form. He needs to be doing that all for his true value to come out, because I saw some people say he could go to HBO. I don't know about that if he's just doing video, if he doesn't have a place where he can put the written word to even a digital canvas, if you will. But that's a tough one. HBO might be something where there's a deal that they are the video partner for what he does. Shane Smith at Vice Sports said he should come to, or at Vice said he should come to Vice and run Vice Sports. I don't know. It's not quite his. Audience, I think. My big thing is I really believe he should go to Yahoo. I think they're a perfect place. They have the Silicon Valley feel. They have the Los Angeles feel, because he needs to continue to be based in Los Angeles, because I really think he likes it there, and that adds to the allure of his pop culture aspects, and that's very important. He has Jimmy Kimmel's, what brought him out to LA when he became a writer there, and so it's very important he's based there, I think, as his main base of operations. But Yahoo would be great. I mean, look at the fact they're doing pop culture. They have the entire Saturday Night Live back catalog, which is a big thing for him. Very big influence in his kind of life and growing up was Saturday Night Live. They have basically the standard of doing this. Marissa Meyer, since she's taken over, has that's a bad word, has picked up big media presences from elsewhere. She took David Pogue from the Times to write Yahoo, or to manage Yahoo Tech. She picked up Katie Couric to be the kind of global news anchor there. And she's picked up a lot of other writers from Matt Bai in politics to Michael Listikoff, who's a investigative reporter. All the way up and down the line, a lot of people are in Yahoo, and a lot of people are focused on media. And I think there's a big presence there for Bill to do multimedia, to write long form, to kind of run their sports place. He can just continue doing what he does, and then he'll bring in his next level of people, because if a lot of the folks at Grantland are going to stay there, which they should, it's a good job, he's going to have to find that next group of people to come in right with him and be a part of his network. Will he have the same budget? I don't know, especially if he's going to get the money that I think he's hoping to get. But maybe Yahoo really goes in all on that. And I think that will really help them. I think it will really help him. It seems to me to be a perfect marriage, because there really is a blank canvas. No one's expecting a ton there. They have a good sports presence. They have Adrian Wojnarowski on the NBA. It seems to me to be a very good place. Now, they don't really have podcasts. They do video okay. They do have a front page to the mobile internet. Their Yahoo News Digest app is a great app, and it's on all the devices, I think. I mostly utilize it on iOS devices, whether you're talking about the iPad or the iPhone. And it's a twice daily delivered news digest, as they call it. So it'll have 8 to 12 stories, and they're quick hitters that synthesize major news events through an algorithm, and have pictures and video, and then ultimately have links if you would like to go see that topic more in depth. But it was a app ultimately developed by a kid named Nick Deloisio, and it was called Sumly, and Yahoo actually bought that application and brought in Nick and his intellectual talents to the fore to do this. So it's a very smart thing. I've often thought it's very cool that this 17-year-old kid created this thing that every Sunday Katie Couric has a presence on the front page. She does a feature every Sunday morning called Now I Get It. I believe it's like 2 to 3 minutes. But I think it could be perfect there because it's a great way for Bill Simmons' content to be delivered as it's released to a growing audience as the app picks up more and more people. It was an editor's choice app on Apple on the App Store, where Apple said it was one of the top apps of the year. So it really did pick up a steam, and people really thought highly of it. And I really think that Yahoo's a great place for him. He can stay in LA. He can do a lot of stuff. It just feels right to me. Who knows what my opinion is, but it makes a lot of sense as things have gone. A lot of people say he could go to Fox Sports. That would be interesting. He could be in LA. He can be a presence there. But that to me feels like a very big media company again, and it's going to be a similar thing to ESPN. They'll be very nice to him early on because they're trying to build market share in the space as ESPN continues to beat them. But look what it did to Mike Francesa. He signed up with Fox Sports to be his simulcast television home, and he's had a very bad experience with that. They're constantly preempting his television show to show God knows what sports. They have all these different channels. They have an app, and you never know when he's going to be on. And even when he is on, he's on for the first 3 hours or 4 hours on the Fox Sports 1. Then you got to move to Fox Sports 2. Many people don't even have this. You can go into the app to watch it full time, but when there's commercials, you're constantly sitting in an empty screen. It has not ended up very well. Now, the hard thing for Mike Francesa is he's very parochial. He mostly talks about New York sports, so I didn't know what a great fit that would be anyway. I mean, when he was at Yes Network, it was perfect because people around the country could watch it knowing he was going to talk about New York sports. But when an outside audience comes to Fox Sports and they want to hear about general sports, especially when he's doing the radio show to a New York audience, wasn't a good fit. It's very much what happened to Chris Russo, his partner from Mike and the Mad Dog for like 20 years. When he left to go to Sirius, he had a local base in the New York area that was what he followed and what people followed him for. When you go to a national audience, it changes the perspective of the show. There's no way to pull in everybody. I mean, sports really is a parochial thing. Now, Bill is parochial in the sense that he loves Boston, but he does a great job bringing in the whole league and talking about everything as a whole. So Fox Sports does have an opening there to do that. Again, I don't think it's enough of a jump for him to go there where it feels like you want to follow it. It still feels too corporate sport for me. If he's going to be corporate sport, he should have stayed at ESPN. They should have found a way to go down the stretch here and not piss off his superiors, and to work on a deal that made sense. Because I mean, you think of the fact he did 30 for 30s, which were very well received. He has a great website. It's a must-go website, and there's always something there to read from a long-form point of view. It's just a really great place. The audio is fantastic. He's touching you in so many different ways, from the eyes to the ears to the written form. It's just a great place to get things done. So it's going to be very interesting to see where it all nets out. It's going to be like I don't think it'll be quite like Howard Stern when everybody knew he was going to Sirius, but he had to fulfill his contract at radio on terrestrial radio, and he would constantly do the thing where they couldn't say the word Sirius anymore, so they would say Will that be the same with Bill Simmons? Will it be Yahoo, or Yahoo or Ox Sports? Will he be making something up to play to the fact of where he's going? But it will be very fun to watch. Summer is usually quiet, but it will be very loud as it stands in the Bill Simmons story. And we'll be watching it very intensely. And I know I will be covering it as much as I can and talking about it because it is the intersection of everything I love, from media to sports to a Game of Thrones, if you will. Very much is that. So this was Matt McQueenie with kind of a quick hitter. I have the Mix Minus podcast. I've started a new one called the Mix Minus Minute that I'm using the SoundCloud platform to do 5 to 10 minute podcasts just to really stretch my legs and get my reps without having to do a full hour long podcast. You can find it all at MatthewMcQueenie.com. And lastly, I have a great offer there. If you enjoy books and reading and audiobooks, I can get you 2 free audiobooks from Audible. Just go to my website and find the banner there under my Mix Minus podcast banner. There's one for getting 2 free audiobooks from Audible. So click that through. You will need to sign up for a free trial. But if you want to cancel it at the end, that's totally fine. No harm, no foul, but you'll get 2 free books. And most offers will not get you 2, you'll get 1. So head on over there and do that. You can probably get a couple of Bill Simmons' books, which forgot to say also, he's a New York Times best-selling author. So this guy is very talented. A lot of people will kind of denigrate him and knock his character for what's happening here, but I wouldn't do that. He's a star, and he should go somewhere where his talents will be put to their best effect. And wherever that is, Yahoo, Fox Sports, Turner, up and down the line, there's a million places now that it could happen. There's a million places where funding can come from to just start it from scratch too. And scratch might be fun, to be honest, to start up something with him, and even maybe to pay a subscription fee to get all of his content or all of this network, all Glenn Beck at the Blaze. But it will be that kind of story. So let's enjoy as we head into the weather here, and have a great Mother's Day. This has been Matt McQueenie.